Hello and welcome to Secrets to Success. Today we have Mapalo Makhu from Women in Finance. I'm truly excited to have her on the show because we're going to touch on a topic that's really touched on, which is finances. Hello Mapalo and welcome to Secrets to Success.
Thank you so much for having me, Ole.
Thank you for honoring our invite. Before we touch on Women in Finance, such a beautiful and catchy name, I just want to know about Mapalo. Who are you, where do you come from, and why did you start this organization?
Sure. That is such a long story, but to cut it short, when I had taken a gap year after I finished high school, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, and from then I read books by Susie Ullman, and I thought to myself, you know what, this is what I'm going to do for a living. And truly that's where it started. And I went and studied BCom Finance University, and I did a postgrad in finance as well. And that's where it started. So from then, you work a couple of jobs throughout, but eventually when I started Women in Finance, it was to educate women about personal finance, specifically women, because a lot of the times women don't feel very confident when it comes to their money decisions.
So true.
We are known as more consumers than savers and investors, you know.
Preach, girl.
So for me, it was to bring money consciousness to my close friends and family, and also the people who follow Women in Finance.
Lovely. So I follow you a lot.
Yes.
On Instagram, Facebook, and listen to your podcasts, and you really touch on very pertinent topics such as Black Friday that we just had now,
yes.
and January. Let's dig deeper into Black Friday. I mean, you spoke about don't get a clothing account, or if you're a Christmas shopper, rather purchase things on online shopping around Black Friday.
Yes, yes.
Just take me through that thinking.
All right. So for me, I always say you have to be money conscious. Just because there's a certain craze around a day, it doesn't mean now it's time for you to spend. All right. So if someone says to you, "Oh, you're going to save 50%," but you never had the money to buy this thing, so you are not saving, right?
That's so true.
So just stop.
You need to be woke.
Yes, exactly. So, but all I'm saying is that if you do have money to purchase for Christmas gifts, and you're sort of that family that is loves gifting around that time, I think Black Friday is a good opportunity to buy something. And you don't even have to go into the shops. You can do it online. Things are so easy.
Yeah, and like breaking down doors at certain shops. You won't mention any names.
Exactly. So the idea behind it was just be conscious about your money. You don't always have to be spending just because there's Black Friday. There's all sorts of euphoria around Christmas and the festive season. Just plan. Just plan.
So how important is this planning? Because I feel that your state of mind reflects your financial state. Because you could take someone, I don't know, someone who's extremely wealthy, take them in the middle of a rural area, and they could make financial wellness out of that situation.
Yes.
So for instance, I think sometimes we're so consumed by I need to find a job, or I need to do this, without being entrepreneurial. You know what I mean? Like someone who's sitting on the corner begging, rather than taking some money, purchasing sweets and then selling them at a small profit, and then moving from that to chips, and then from chips to something else. There's so many success stories, and I'm not trying to
discount the situation that people find themselves in. Yeah.
But how important is it to plan around your money, and how important is it to shift someone's mindset? Because I believe it's truly
it's a mindset.
It's a mindset
thing, right?
Yeah.
And on my Instagram post, I always say wealth is a mindset, right? And if you just take it back a bit further, right, and you look at people who earn, just your middle class person, right? It's literally get a job, get a bigger car, get a bigger house, your salary increases, and the circle continues, right? So people never take a step back and say, you know what, what do I foresee in the next 5 years? I think a lot of the times people talk about, I want to be successful, I want to get my degree, my honors, or whatever it is, but no one ever really plans to be financially successful. All right? So you can have more money, get an increase, but people find that financial success is sort of elusive. Because they do not plan. They do not consciously sit with themselves and say, okay, what do I want to achieve with my money? Do I want to work forever and ever for this money? I sit down in my coaching sessions with people who are almost 40, 50, and they are only trying to get their money right at that age.
That's sad.
That is sad, right?
Yeah.
But I always say...
it's past behaviors.
And
it's a lot of unlearning, especially for us millennials going up, to say we need to now shift this mindset and set it right for our children. Sorry for interrupting.
Absolutely. And a lot of the times people talk about generational wealth. I'm like, you cannot create generational wealth if you haven't checked with yourself first the beliefs or limiting beliefs you have about money. That mentality of more of consumerism. That's where
it's so true, Mapalo, because I can, some of the conversations that we'd have with a couple of my colleagues in the offices, it's bonus time, or it's salary increase time. For example, someone may move from like a 30 to 35. I'm just making an example. But then they think of getting a car. And it's like, but you're finding yourself in another cycle again. So, for instance, you have a perfectly well-oiled machine, but now you want to,
you want to show us.
Yeah, you want to show us.
That's
But how far do you take this chance? Because we also need to live within our financial needs. So sometimes I don't think it's about people say, I need more money, but you get the more money and then you go and put yourself in another cycle of debt.
And I go back to say, you know what, with all the chance, are you giving yourself a chance? Are you giving yourself room to breathe within your finances?
True.
So just like, if you go back again, be conscious about your money. You have an increase, perhaps it's time to say, okay, this portion that I'm going to get now, it's going to go towards my investments. I'm going to start aggressively investing. So with every increase, with every bonus, don't think about being a consumer. For once, do something for yourself, for your future self that you'll be thankful for. If you have debt, flipping hell, pay it off. Debt is slavery. Pay it off. It is slavery. It is absolutely slavery. And I see a lot of the times people do this dance with debt. I paid off, but then a few months later
you get yourself and you find yourself in another.
Because the commitment was never really there to stay out of debt.
So I like what you touched on, and I'm writing because I don't want to forget, right? So you speak about people, you find people dancing with dates, right? So I think of some of the advices that I got when I was young. Get a credit card, that's your emergency fund, and that's the worst advice you can give anyone, right?
Absolutely.
So how important, you speak about being financially conscious. So I want you to, and you touched on investments, you briefly, loosely. What is an investment? What is a unit trust? What is, I know most of us know about savings account, fixed deposit account. There's nothing wrong with that, because I think it also encourages a culture of leaving the money alone. But I also believe and hope that people can educate themselves around other means. Our mothers were doing stokvels all along. It's just our unit trusts give a different vehicle, you know what I mean, like to get a better interest rate and so touch on like what is a unit trust, for instance, for someone who's like, it seems a bit intimidating, or rather what other options are available for people to put for short, medium and long-term investments.
All right. So as you mentioned, I always encourage people, definitely if you are saving, that's fantastic, but you have to take it a step further. Saving, literally in a bank account, you probably get 5% or 6%, or it doesn't really beat inflation. Okay, so your money is not really growing. You're not getting a real return on your money. So beyond saving, there is investing, and there's unit trust, exchange traded funds, property, there's quite a few options when it comes to investing. But for me, the easiest one, especially for someone who's starting to look into investing, I say unit trusts are so easy. They are so easy. Go to an asset management company and we can list all of them. There's quite a few in South Africa. And normally the minimum is about $500 to start with.
Like a debit order, right?
Exactly. And what I like about them, it's literally money from different people being pulled together to invest on the stock exchange. So you don't really have to think for yourself, which company should I be looking at, the financials, all those intricate stuff that goes into buying a specific share, So with a unit trust, very easy, and the costs are hugely transparent with most asset management companies. And really, $500. I'm sure you can squeeze $500 from your budget.
Yeah, it's like how many pair of black shoes can you really, want in your cupboard? Let's be honest, because a lot of us do that, and it's easily $600-700 for a pair of shoes. And if you sacrifice that every month to saving $500 towards a debit order that goes off a unit trust, it goes a long way.
Absolutely.
And I like what you said, because it also gives you access to financial assets in the market that one wouldn't ordinarily have access to, and a diversification of assets such as property, bonds,
cash, even with some, and equity, of course.
Okay, so in closing, Mapalo, tell me about women in finance. Tell me about, if I wanted to, for instance, because I think of how do I cut down all the noise? Instagram, hashtag
living my best life.
How do we make savings fashionable? How do we make savings a lifestyle? I mean, I'm not saying don't have a life, but live within your means. So with women in finance, if I'm coming as Oletilwe saying, okay, Mapalo, I need your help. You spoke about unit trust. I still love having a nice time, but I want to limit it and live within my means. What do you have? Workshops? Do you have, what can I give someone a gift, for instance?
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. So with Women in Finance, what we do training for corporates. We do one-on-one coaching, so personal finance coaching, and we do couples coaching, because we realize that a lot of the times couples don't talk about money.
It's a tricky one.
It is a tricky one. And funny enough, I have one of my clients, the husband actually gifted her as a birthday gift to say, you know what, I think we must start considering what's happening with our finances. That's
a nice way of having saying you need help.
Stop us needs to take the first step into making sure that we have our situation together, right?
That's true.
So that's what we do with Women in Finance. For me, I always say you have to be accountable to the decisions that you've made so far when it comes to your money. But further than that, you have to have the commitment to want to be financially successful. And I take you through the steps, acknowledge what has happened in the past, and we take you through how to start saving for an emergency, how to start investing, and we take baby steps until you're finally confident that you can get your finances in order.
Okay, lovely. So you can give financial advice, right? You're a financial planner.
No.
Oh, no. Okay. Sorry. Okay.
It definitely doesn't have to do anything with product.
Okay.
So remember, a financial advisor will advise you on what product to go for. For me, I'm creating the financial and money consciousness so that when you do eventually go approach a financial institution, you know exactly what's going on. Because a lot of the times what I would notice is that if you're a financial advisor, you give people product and 2 months later they
don't even know what they signed up for.
Exactly. So the financial literacy, that's where it must start. Financial literacy, and that's what Women in Finance does.
Lovely. So if I want to follow you on Instagram, Facebook, in touch with you, maybe I want you to be part of a workshop that I'm doing,
or speaking engagements.
Exactly. How do I get in touch with Mapalo?
All right. Okay. So Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, all one handle at Woman and Finance.
Okay, woman as an A-N or woman?
No, woman. One woman.
Okay. Okay.
Woman and Finance. And our email is info@womanandfinance.co.za, or you can get all this information on our website, www.womanandfinance.co.za.
Thank you so much, Mapalo, for taking the time to be with us here on Secrets to Success. Your husband is truly one lucky husband, I must say.
He knows he is.
Like that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.